Authors, I want to introduce you to our amazing social media manager, Molly. She has been promoting the book and all of you since we started, and she is just so phenomenal. So I would just love for you to give her a round of applause and a thank you real quick.
Yay.
Woo!
Thank you. It's nice to meet you all.
It's been doing a fabulous job. So, okay, so I like to toast. Let's do a toast now. Do you all see my mug here?
Yes.
Oh,
that's
awesome.
Yay.
Wow.
Cool. My friend Sherry did those. It's a little wine glass. So I would like to toast all of you for being here. And thank you for taking the time out to spend the evening with us and celebrate what we call Fuffy from us for you. So cheers.
Cheers.
Woo, look at that
Cheers.
drink, Miss Love. Look at that. I want one of those. Where's the bartender?
Keto friendly.
Well,
I'm in Santa Clarita.
Oh my God, look at that.
yeah.
That's classic.
So each of the featured authors, the 7 of you, will do your 5-minute little talk. You know what you're going to do. You're either going to read a couple chapters from your a couple paragraphs from your chapter, or you can just share us, some other type of story that meant something to you, or you can talk about a favorite quote and why it's so meaningful to you. So kind of leave that up to you guys how you want to do that. And then we'll have 5 minutes of Q&A afterwards. Everybody can ask questions. Okay. So just if you're a featured author, ask questions of the other authors too. That's fine. And Melissa is going to be our handy dandy little tracker of those. And so just type them in the chat, and that way she'll just take a look at them and ask the questions afterwards. Okay. I'm going to keep track of timing. And when you have 1 minute left, I'm just going to go like this. So So I
Cue
don't
card.
have to. Yeah, that's a cue card. I know.
Diane, can you do that 1 more minute, please? Can you hold that up 1 more minute? Oh, wait, it switched cameras. Hold on. Where'd she go?
She's holding it up. We just can't see it. It's in that little.
Yeah,
Here.
I need you to be the full. I need to pin you. Okay, there you go. Yeah, I got it. I got it. Okay.
Okay. To start us out, I promised I would do door prizes. So let's do a door prize. I think we have everybody here.
How cool is that?
So this is our first little door prize. It's a coaster,
Oh.
How
a
neat.
little coaster. Again, my friend Sherry. Oops, I guess I should hold it. Yeah. And I have all of your names in this little thing here. And that would be Laurie. Yay!
Yay!
Great. Woo! Well, I'll get that to you.
I need a coaster for my martini.
Yes.
Okay, so just to call out, if you would just wave your hand, so when I just call your name out, that way I'll know who you are, or I know who you all are. So Robin.
That's me.
Okay, yep. Karen. There we go. Laurie. Kimber.
Woo.
Angela. There she is. Jane.
Present.
Present. And Diana. There she is. Okay. And we also have our editor with us tonight. And that would be Teresa Young. Yay.
Hi.
Let's see, who wants
Thank
to
you.
start? And we also have Marcia Gunter and her dog. What's the dog's name?
The dog's name is Magical Eyes.
Aw.
And he's a puppy, and this is here to preserve whatever is left that he could eat on today. Is best to hold him.
That's true. Well, welcome to both of you. So Marcia is also a writer, but she's not featured tonight. So we'll catch her next time. And I see Cassidy is here. Hi, Cass. Thank you. I think I got everybody right. And of course, Molly. So, all right. You guys ready?
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're going to start with Karen.
I'm going to have to read some of this because it's not as impromptu as I'd like. So when Diane brought this idea to us tonight, I thought I'd pick up on the thing called inspiration. So striving for inspiration, I thought I could talk about being in business for 41 years with another strong-willed, independent woman, and how important it is to have a shared purpose, vision, and a set of values. Or I could talk about what it takes for have a self-reliant person learn how to accept help generously, graciously, after breaking my foot ice skating with the little kids because I forgot I was no longer 15. Or I could talk about the effect of living in 78 different places and how I have no real attachment to place like many people have. I chose this story though and said, and the story I'm going to tell is about going shopping late on the Saturday night. I stepped on a piece of hard round candy and gave myself a head injury when I spun to the floor. Many weeks later, we counted up the concussions, and this was number 12 since I was 2. And no amount of over-the-counter pain pills could alleviate the headache I was getting that felt like it was sawing the top of my head off from the inside. And I finally went to the doctor who said, "Oh yeah, I think you have a concussion." So we went through all that process. The prognosis was bleak. The multiple concussions that I had went into a counter-coup concussion, the one that you have a concussion that goes diagonal in your head, and it equaled a TBI, just like what the soldiers were coming home from the war with at the time, back in 2010 and 11. The symptoms matched all those kinds of things. I had a great empathy for them. My brain capacity, though, had diminished to less than 25% of my very big brain that I got made fun of all the time. And that was it. They weren't quite sure what to do with somebody of my age because they didn't know if I could ever recover. Even though I was doing three types of therapy every week, music, vision, and occupational therapy, and something else I can't remember. And I was still in hyperarousal all the time, living with less than a brain, which was not the future that I wanted for myself. So thank goodness for serendipity and synchronicity, because Dr. Tomeno was in Portland from Westchester, New York for a conference we were conducting. Never met her. She took one look at me and went to Marsha in the back of the conference room and said, "What's up with Karen? She doesn't look good." Well, in the course of a few minutes in a conversation with her after the evening sessions, she gave us hope and possibility because I didn't have any up to that point. She believed that a hurt brain could heal and recover no matter the age. And so she offered targeted cognitive therapy, took 8 years every week. And the whole purpose of the conversation is now I'm at 98. Thank you, Diane. Now I'm at 98%. And it is about faith and resilience and a committed doctor and a committed friend who would help, because it matters that we have a life that we say we want and the effort that it takes. So any questions?
We have a question in the chat and it says, what did you learn from this experience?
Not to give up, because I was told that this is the way it was going to be. 25% of my capacity, and I was used to having another. The other, then a whole bunch of stuff I've learned about neuroplasticity, brain research, all the stuff I was doing before I hurt my head. And the biggest thing I think I learned is to really understand that every brain that comes in front of me is different from the next one. And we sometimes think that we're kind of all the same and we're not. So how we process and how we work is just all different.
We also got a question of what exactly is a TBI?
Traumatic brain injury. The kinds of things that the soldiers come home with. I got one and I never hit my head. In all the 12 concussions of spinning my brain around, I never hit my head on anything except once. So all the rest of them are giving your brain a whiplash on the inside. I call it my squish brain. When I get a headache, it feels like my brain is squished in one spot.
It seems like you're keeping a pretty good sense of humor and that you've been in good spirits about this whole thing. How do you feel like you've done that? I mean, how have you stayed so positive throughout this entire journey?
Well, we would probably have to take a qualifier in the adjective away called entire journey away, because hyperarousal has you beating off the top of everything, off the top of a glass ceiling all the time. And that wasn't a pleasant experience for anybody who was around me or for even me. And I didn't even know it was happening. I probably have much better sense of optimism now than the 8 years of neuroplasticity training. You know, when you read about neuroplasticity, it seems like, oh yeah, that's pretty piece of cake. It takes a whole lot of effort.
What is neuroplasticity exactly?
It's when you can regrow your brain. You can regrow brain cells and neurons and neural pathways.
We have another question. After all that you've been through, what is the best piece of advice you'd give someone going through a hard time?
If you have built inside of yourself the whole notion of hope and possibility, just to stay with that. Surround yourself with people who will stand for you. My guess is, Diane, this all happened after I last saw you back in Phoenix.
Yeah.
So this follows after that time. So Diane knows me from before, and now who I am now. It is just not to give up.
And we got a couple questions about some of the things you've had to go through. One is, what exactly is neuroplasticity training? What does that involve? And then the second one is, what is cognitive therapy?
Pretty similar. My cognitive therapy was I would meet with this doc on the phone every week for an hour, and I would be exhausted afterwards, and I would have to go lay down for the rest of the afternoon. So I did it on Friday mornings. At the beginning, I was learning how to say 4 words together in a sentence by alphabetical order or by number of letters or something else. And I could do, it was hard. It is, when you have a brain injury, trying to get your brain to do something that it has forgotten how to do. Another therapy that I was doing when it was too much was vision therapy, because it affected my eyes, my eyesight. I got brand new glasses and couldn't see out of them. So my eyesight was affected for a long time. I still can't drive more than in the trees for more than about a half hour at a time. What I've learned in these last 10 years, there's a lot of people walking around with brain injuries and they don't know it. And they don't know when they've gone over the top and they're into hyperarousal. And so for those of us who are expecting things, whether you're 8 years old or you're 80 years old, what we expect from other people, we have to have a whole lot more compassion and graciousness to be with folks who, because I didn't know I had that kind of a trouble going on. I was just a mess. So thanks for noticing that I'm doing really well now. Ask my staff 10 years ago, they would have said, I don't think so. It's time for us to quit.
You seem just the same as what you were when I knew you a long time ago. So good for you. I'm glad that you were able to overcome that.
Oh, thanks, Diane.
Yeah. And thank you. Thank you very much for sharing that.
You're welcome.
Okay, let's go on to Robin.
Hi. Well, I don't really want to talk about my chapter, and I'll tell you why. Because yesterday actually marked the 6-year anniversary of when that relationship ended and everything fell apart. And today actually marks my late husband's birthday. He would have been 57 years old today, and he's been dead for 20 years. So I actually want to do something a little different. I have one of my most favorite sayings in the entire world, and it really applies to what you have put together in this project, Diane, and what all of these wonderful women have done. One of my favorite sayings in the world is, one day you will tell your story of how you've overcome what you are going through, and it will become part of someone else's survival guide. That to me is so true in every sense of the word. This is why I choose to write about real life things. And as we've discussed on the other interviews that we did, I used it as my therapy for many years to put words down on paper, to grab a tape recorder and put things in there just to purge that out and get rid of it, because it was so negative, keeping everything inside. And I would continue to draw that bad energy to me because I wasn't purging it out. So writing became a way for me to develop that sense of therapy. And I couldn't necessarily do therapy with other people because I felt like I wasn't being heard. And that started at a young age when I was raped at 16, 17 in that area and tried to get help. My parents didn't offer that for me. And then going to a counselor, she didn't understand it either because she had never experienced it. So at that point in my life, being so young and having gone through something so traumatic, I started writing as a way to purge that. And why that quote means so much to me is because every one of these beautiful women involved in this project, they're talking about the things they've gone through and they're putting it down on paper. And you have no idea just how wonderful your words are going to be. And with me, I struggled to write this chapter because it dealt with me making the same mistakes by allowing a bad person to come in my life and allowing his behavior to affect me. And I changed my behavior to match his negative behavior, which meant I became the negative person. And doing the chapter in the book really relieved a lot of that for me, purging that out, because I still felt like I was being held prisoner for an additional 5 years after getting away from him. But yesterday marked 6 years of my freedom, and today I'm celebrating the love of my life's birthday, even though he's not here. So just bravo to each and every one of you women who have put your experiences down in these chapters, because every single one of us have gone through things, and you never really know who's going to read your story and it's going to resonate with them. And I guarantee you, every single one of us that has put a chapter in this book, whether it's the whole entire chapter or just a few words from each chapter, somebody reading it is going to get something out of it, and they're going to realize, if she can do it, so can I. So I'm very proud of each and every one of these women that are part of this project. And Diane, I can't even thank you enough for putting something like this together, because this is a survival guide. And this will be something that when all of us are dead and gone and our children are still here, grandchildren, whatever, we're leaving our impact on this world as we leave this world. And that is something phenomenal that I don't think anybody can ever forget. So I'm really proud to be with all of you women on this project.
Thank you. Thank you so much. And we're proud to have you too, Robin. Oh, cool.
I think we should turn this into who can make Diane cry first.
I know, I was just starting to.
Okay, Robin, we do have some questions for you.
Okay.
Kimber would like to know if you're planning on writing another book.
Yes, actually, number 3 is in the works right now.
Awesome. And where can people find your first 2 books?
They're both on Amazon. The first one is Victim No More. The second one that came out 1 year ago today is called Soul Stirrings. And if you have trouble with Amazon, they're both there in the Kindle and the paperback. It's also on Barnes and Noble, and you can go directly to my website, which is just my name, robincotè.com, and it'll show you how to just go order the books.
Perfect. And then we also got a question. How do you know when it's time to tell your story?
Oh boy, the trick of it is just to put things down. And my first book took me 30 years to write, because the beginnings of it were about the domestic violence and meeting my first husband when I was merely 13 years old. And I think it took me a long time because I was too afraid to talk about it, because through the years, my ex-husband would still try to contact me and start trouble. And I was trying to raise a kid and do the best I could, working all the time and doing what I felt was the best thing, but I still journaled everything out. So I think in the meantime, I just journaled it because I had to find a way to purge it. And then finally, with my first book, it was because my ex-husband was starting to create problems with my children and was telling lies about things and mixing up details and confusing my daughter. And my son knows the whole truth, but she didn't, because this is going to be hard to even say it, but my ex-husband actually took my daughter away when she was a baby and gave her up for adoption because he didn't want girl children. So I didn't raise my daughter. And that's how this whole thing in 2015 came to fruition. Is, he was saying things to her that weren't true, and I had to clear the record. I felt like I had to use my voice because my voice had been silenced for so long. It went back to my childhood, not being able to have my parents hear me say, "I've been raped, I need your help." Being turned away, that shut my voice down. And then falling into an abusive relationship and eventually an abusive marriage, my voice was gone. And I finally got to a point where I knew I had to use my voice because things were being said that just weren't true. And I knew in my heart it was the right thing to do. And I thank God for everybody that was reading the blog that I put out there, because they were the ones encouraging me to put it into a book form. So the thing is, you have to find your voice. No one can give that to you. I don't care how many people you have around you trying to support you. You're still going to have that closed chakra in your throat. And until you scream it out and find your voice, you'll know when the time is right, because you'll feel it in your gut. You'll know, okay, this is it. I've had enough. Time to do something about it. Use your voice.
Yeah, that's really powerful. It's not a question, but Angela wanted to say that she really loves the quote that you chose to share. So I think we all did. There was a lot of nodding of the heads and like victory. Yeah.
It just means the world to me, because that's what our stories do. And here's another thing I'm going to tell each and every one of you out here that's listening. If you're putting stuff out there and you're trying to help people, you may not get feedback. Don't worry about it, because a lot of times people are afraid to give feedback, but they are listening, they are reading, they are watching, and you are making a difference. And once in a great while, you will doubt that you're making a difference. And then somebody will DM you or send you an email and say, hey, I don't think you're going to pay attention, but what you said today really resonated with me, and it's making a difference. Keep doing what you're doing. So please don't doubt that you're not making a difference by what you're saying or doing or showing others, because you really are. And even when you don't feel like it, you really are. You have to give yourself that little pat on the back and say, keep going. Somebody needs to hear what I'm saying. Somebody needs to see what I'm doing, and the right people will.
And I love all of the things that you put up on Facebook all the time. You are an encourager. I'm thinking, wow, you just have this wealth of information and encouragement for other people. And you're a very strong role model for a lot of us, honestly, Robin.
I should have grabbed the tissue, man. You're going to make me cry again. I should know better not to have. I should have tissue around me. But I thank you for that. It makes me feel really good. And if we have another second, I want to tell a quick little story, if you're okay with that. At my job the other night, a famous race car driver was on a show, Michael Waltrip, and he won the Daytona 500. He told the story of losing his best friend, Dale Earnhardt, that day, February 18, 2001. As he won the race, he saw the accident. He didn't know his friend was dead till he hit the winner's circle. After the show host yanked me over. She said, you have to tell him your story. I said, I don't know your friend Dale, but I remember his crash, and it affected me. It affects me every year. And I'll tell you why. Because that day I was in the ICU room waiting for my husband to be brought up from the emergency room into the ICU room. And I was waiting, watching on television. I saw you win that race, and I saw your best friend die. And then the next day, my husband died in front of me. I said, that will forever. I will always remember Dale Earnhardt's death, even though I'm not a NASCAR fan. It's just the fact that two people from different worlds connected. He hugged me and he told me he loved me. I thought that was just the coolest thing in the world, because two people from two separate lives came together and shared a kinetic moment in time. Yeah, all wild stuff. And today's my husband's birthday.
Yeah.
So, it's all simpatico.
Thank you, Robin. Thank you for sharing that.
Thank you, Diane, for this project.
Absolutely. Yes, my pleasure.
Sorry.
Okay.
Tissue time.
Okay. Deep breath. All right. Diana?
Well, my goodness, Robin, that's unbelievably difficult to follow. You're absolutely amazing. I love you so much.
I love you too.
It's late here. I'm exhausted. I've been up since 7 o'clock. 2 girls today that, it started 2 days ago, getting them into detox and treatment and getting a domestic violence counselor for one. And while her baby's taken away, it's just like, it's been 2 days, but that's what I do. And that's pretty what the chapter that I wrote was about. I didn't go through anything. I don't, and I always said, like, I don't know why I do what I do. So if for anyone that doesn't know, most of you all know, I've got a nonprofit that I started called Movies Making a Difference. And we make socially conscious movies and highlighting the injustice of human trafficking, child brides, child labor, human slavery in the United States. And then with all the proceeds from the movies directly goes back to aid the survivors upon whom the film shed light. My, so the chapter I wrote, I'm not going to read it. I can kind of just say in a nutshell, it's really how I was an actress in New York and had absolutely no interest in anything except for my own success. Never thought about nonprofits or charities or social work or anything. And but I was raised in a family that was very socially conscious, always, giving back, and my parents rescuing people and having strangers in the house and whatever. So I did have a background of it, but it was just, I was never forced into it. So on my 21st birthday, my mother gave me a cassette recording from a very well-known astrologer telling me that I was going to be very successful, and she saw me in the media and everything, and I'm all excited listening to it. She goes, but I don't see you being an actress or anything. I see you talking about some cause. And I was so distraught. I was so angry that I turned the tape off. I threw it away. Like, this woman obviously knows nothing. I have no interest in any causes. And especially when I was in New York, I'd be walking on the streets and going to auditions, and there would be these women with these horrific signs and really blown up about women in bondage from Southeast Asia and Africa. And, and they'd really be rather aggressive in trying to, get in your face and tell you that we've got to do something. And here I am as, 20 years old, completely broke, living with 6 girls and trying to make ends meet. There's absolutely nothing I can do about this human trafficking going on halfway around the world. But anyway, 20 years later, fast forward, I'm in Arizona and I meet Mike Watkiss, who's kept kids in my kids' class. And I walked up to him, congratulated him. He just won an Edward R. Murrow Award on his movie, a documentary. And I didn't know what it was. I just said, congratulations. And he seemed so dejected and said, not enough people watch documentaries. And the subject matter is so horrific that they just want to go have a drink and forget about it all. I go, well, what subject matter is this? And he said, it's the FLDS, Warren Jeffs, the prophet. And I go, oh, you mean those crazy women in their prairie dresses that don't mind sharing their husbands? And he said, this is what I'm talking about. They are slaves. They're born into it. They've never seen the outside world. They don't know. And he said, if I just knew someone that could make a film blending that would attract. So I'm thinking, okay, my husband was a writer in the industry, and I was a realtor, and it was just when the crash of the market, so I wasn't selling any houses. And I said, are you sure you can't find anyone? He's like, I've been looking for years. I go, okay, I'll make that movie. So I made the movie and didn't get anywhere in Phoenix. Thought I was a first-time film producer. Not only Phoenix, but Utah, Denver, anywhere, any film festival, Sedona. So I submitted it to Palm Beach, where I had my childhood best friend. Thought, if I get in somewhere, it will be, I would have a place to stay. Well, I got into the Palm Beach International Film Festival and won for Audience Choice for Best Feature Film. And everyone came out of the woodwork saying, what can we do to help that this is going on in our country and no one's aware of? And at this point, I'd met some of the survivors, and there was absolutely no way that I could just say, okay, see y'all later. I raised some awareness with this film and you're all on your own now.
So Diana, I'm going to interrupt you there because we're over time, but
okay.
Melissa, read the question that I wrote, because that's.
Yeah, so Diane would like to know how you personally feel deep down when you see someone better themselves.
Oh, it's just the most joyous thing. Yeah, I was just thinking about that the other day, is why do I get such joy to see someone else's happiness and succeeding? People always say, what is your, yourself, you need self-care, and what do you do? And I actually get a whole lot more invigorated by seeing someone's success than by going and getting a massage for self-care. That's my self-care, is seeing their success. Yeah.
Well, Kimber wants to lay down a whole lot of love on you. I'm going to try to say it in sheer Kimber like excitement. Your story is amazing. It is a miracle. And thank you so much for all of your amazing work. What are you going to do when every child is never trafficked again?
Well, it's just, it's really too horrific to say, but the problem is so immense, and there's so many different levels to trafficking that I'm never going to retire. That's it. I will keep going forever.
So I have kind of I don't even know how to ask this question, but I'm going to try. Okay, so you make these movies that make an impact, and then all of the profits benefit the survivors. How do you actually make contact with victims and with people that you're able to help? Like, how does that process happen?
It's all through word of mouth, and I would say probably 99% of them find me on instant messaging on Facebook, because they don't have telephones, but they can go in, or they don't have telephone service, but they can go in and get internet, and they can reach me on there.
Okay.
And then I will fly to wherever they are and rescue them. We have a safe house and get them making their dreams come true.
Have you ever been put at risk for the kind of work that you do?
Nothing that like I had to like fight my way out of or anything, but I've been, just threatening emails, hacked all the time, having a event somewhere and coming there and telling them that there's someone who'd been there before them. It's been interesting. They've actually not come personally to me, but just made me always know they're watching me.
So for women, well, people, anybody actually who wants to help this cause and be involved and support in some way, what's the best way they can do that?
They can reach me on instant messaging. And we need everything. I mean, we need, I pretty much, do it all alone, from producing the movies to rescuing the kids to running the safe house, all of our media, website, newsletters, the planning of all of our events. And also I got certified as a counselor, and I also counsel. So anything that anybody need, the scope is so huge that we need everything besides just financing, of course. So if anyone's just drawn to that cause or has any level administrative thank you notes, you can reach me on Facebook or through any of you guys. My email's moviesmakingadifference@gmail.com, and got a website, moviesmakingadifference.org.
Perfect. Molly and I have the same brain, because she typed the question pretty much the same time I was asking it, but she specifically lives in Virginia, just outside of DC. And so I have a feeling you might be hearing from Molly about how she can get involved and help with that. So thanks for sharing.
How wonderful. We have over 150 young people. I stopped counting last year at 150 because it doesn't matter anymore. So there's a lot to do. Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you. Thank you for what it is that you do. And I love that you do it through a movie, venue.
And that would be right up your alley.
Yeah, I like that. I like that. So thank you so much.
Thank
Okay. Let's go on to Laurie.
Hi, everybody. Let me put my glasses on. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
I'm going to read a couple paragraphs from my chapter. The chapter is called Mind Blowing Heavy Metal Movie Star. Here we go. The mind is powerful, namely in its capabilities in survival itself. Holding steadfast to one's dream is another area in which the mind's source of power is well harnessed. But most importantly, there is power in everything I do when I am in good health. Years ago, I entered into a battle between my body and mind. I was falling through the cracks of the US healthcare system. My career was wavering. I was battling an invisible illness. My name is Laurie Love, and I am an independent filmmaker, producer, writer, actor, and stuntwoman. I love my career despite its ups and downs, but the most humbling part has been navigating it with an autoimmune disease and an invisible illness. If you don't mind, I'd like to skip forward to another paragraph. I have always been able to handle pain well, but cognitively, I was starting to have issues. I would have to reread a script very closely, sometimes 3 or 4 times, just because I would have a hard time with my memory. The numbness and tingling pain in my limbs would throb and come in and out in different areas with such intensity, I would feel like someone was slowly bending and breaking my bones. I would just scream inside my head when I would feel this sensation come on. The days without pain became non-existent as the illness progressed. I would tell myself every night before I tried to sleep, tomorrow will be better. But tomorrow never came. Until now. And those are my 2 chapters, or my 2 paragraphs, excuse me. You know, we were also asked to talk about, you know, something that, you know, stuck with us, or a quote. And there's something that my grandmother told me when I was little, and it stuck with me forever. And it's this. She said, Laurie, if you get knocked down, you pick yourself up, you dust yourself up, and you get back out there and you try again. But if you keep getting knocked down, you pick yourself up, you dust yourself off, and you get back there and you fight and you fight and you fight. And that's what I live by.
And you have had a fight, for sure.
It's been a battle.
So, yes. So can you explain a little bit about how you got this heavy metal toxicity? I mean, is it something that's common, or is it something that we don't know about? Or, I mean, how?
You know, it's something that the medical community doesn't really talk a lot about. There's not enough knowledge. There's not enough research in this, but all of us are consuming, you know, we're all getting heavy metals from what we're eating, from what we're drinking, from what we're breathing, we're absorbing it. But everybody is different. My body doesn't get rid of the metals that I get put in, you know, with it, whether it be vaccines, whether it be, you know, I got a CT scan and I got barium, it's still in my body. You know, some of the heavy, you know, there was arsenic. I just go down the list, and that's what I had, and I couldn't believe it. It was kind of shocking.
2 things. I want to say, one, I think it's incredible that your husband hopped on to support you. That's really nice.
Hi, Beth.
And 2, you know, I've told you many times that you personally have inspired me. I've had a health journey myself. I live with chronic pain. And I'm curious if you had those same thoughts and how you worked through them and how you stayed in, you know, I guess maybe that's just the end of my question, how you worked through that thought maybe of like, why is this happening to me? Because that can be a really defeating place to be in if you're asking that question over and over again, you know?
Yeah. You know, I mean, in my situation, for about 20 years, I've been dealing with all kinds of different symptoms of what I have now. It just built up over time, and then finally, you know, took me down. You know, I was diagnosed with IBS, I have TMJ, fibrocystic breast disease, PTSD from an abusive relationship in the past, et cetera, et cetera. You know, those didn't have any kind of cure. It was just like, you have to deal with it, or, hey, you know, we want to give you antidepressants, blah, blah, blah. And that was nothing I wanted to do. However, you know, I've never been somebody to, you know, wallow in it, you know, with a why me. It's like, what do I have to do now to overcome this? Like my grandma said, you get knocked down, you get back out there and fight. You go, you go, you go, you don't stop, and you hang on to it, hang on to that spark, whatever it is, until, you know, you made it. And, you know, I didn't feel like, why me? I didn't really talk about it a lot. I wish I did. I would have probably found a lot more help earlier on. And that's why I'm here. That's why I've, you know, joined on this project. So maybe I could help some other people out there with, you know, what I've been going through.
Yeah, Angela was asking, how did you actually find out that this is what it was? Like, how did you come to discover that that's what you had?
It's kind of funny. I was being told by doctors, oh, your results are normal. Oh, you know, you're too young for any of this. There's no way you would be exposed to this stuff, blah, blah, blah. So I kept going, well, I guess I just have to deal with it, you know. And I was watching a TV show, and one of the women on the show was talking about fibromyalgia. And I said, what is that? So of course I did some research, and it gave me the aha moment of, this really sounds like what I've got going on. So I actually went to my doctor and educated him on what it was. And then I finally was diagnosed, you know, textbook down the line, fibromyalgia. And then later on, when I found a different doctor that ended up helping me, which I discuss, she got the diagnosis for the heavy metal toxicity.
What kind of treatments do you have to get for that?
I do IV and chelation treatments, chelation and ozone. That's what removes the heavy metals from the body. It's made with natural ingredients that attach to the metals itself, and it removes it naturally through your system, because my body doesn't do that. It's pretty invasive and intense, but it works. I can't deny the results and how I feel. I changed my diet, I exercise, I do yoga. I mean, you know, spirituality, everything, it's all here, you know, between your brain, you know, your heart and your soul. You really got to get it all together in order to heal.
Thank you so much, Laurie, for getting better and sticking through all of that. I know that people are going to love to read your chapter and learn from that. So I really appreciate you coming on and sharing such a personal story too. It's a personal journey. And I know that you want to educate, and this is a great start of doing that. So we're happy to see what's going to happen next. So thank you.
Thank you, Diane.
Okay, before we go to the next one, it's door prize time. Yay! So here we go. Here's my little door prize thing. All right. And Diana. All right. She gets a cool tote bag. Yay!
Awesome.
That'll keep her awake.
Yeah.
Thank you. I love it.
Yeah, you are very welcome. You're very welcome. So, okay, let's continue on. Kimber.
Aloha, everyone. Aloha, Diane. Oh, so I'm so thrilled to be here, especially amongst all you amazing women. I am going to read a chapter, but I just wanted to express this first and foremost. I already wrote a book about my experience. For those of you who don't know me, it's called Greta Garbage. And the title came from something that my mother said to me when I was growing up. And a lot of you know that I am an actress, and my dream when I was little was to become that. And my grandfather one day bought me a beautiful vanity set. And a vanity set is what the actress puts her makeup on and rehearses. And I'd look in the mirror and he'd stroke my hair and he said, "You're going to be as amazing and beautiful and successful as Greta Garbo." And she was a silent film actress. And I ran home and I was so excited, just like Diana with her story about the card reader saying that you're going to be this famous actress. Well, you're not going to be a famous actress, but you're going to do this cause. But I believed my grandfather, and I ran home and told my mother, and her reply was, "Sweetheart, you will never be anything but a bitch, a Greta Garbage." And so because she was a raging alcoholic, and amazingly that title didn't come to me until I was in the middle of the book. I never remembered her calling me that. So that just goes to tell you the amount of distress that your body will bury something. But my point in this story was that I wrote my book to help others, but I never realized I didn't touch on the most important part of the book, and that's what I wrote in Diane's. And the title of my chapter is called I Am Secure with Blame, Lessons from a Narcissist. And like Laurie, I also had to put my glasses on because I can't read without them. All I ever wanted to do was make my mother's life more beautiful, so she would choose her children instead of her toxic combination of booze and drugs. I wanted to remedy the reason she blamed her children for her destructive behavior. This good-natured thought can never happen with a narcissist. You will never make them happy, and worse yet, while you're creating happiness for them, their unhappiness will be your entire fault. They cannot see outside of their own ego. They will not dip a toe into your world. Because of them, your world turns into a very dark existence of fear, loneliness, and a constant browbeating of blame. And I'm so glad, Diane, that you invited me to play along with this to help others, because I didn't realize that I left out the most important part of what happened to me in this book. And the most important part is truly recognizing characteristic behaviors in others. And I'm not one that likes to use labels to describe people at all. I just look at everybody as a human being. But in this case, in order to translate the message, I had to talk about narcissism. And the most incredible thing about narcissism is it never ever stands alone. It is always followed by abandonment. And that's my gift to those who live with a narcissist. Know that somehow you will be abandoned, either physically, emotionally, spiritually, or financially.
Yeah, the words that you wrote are very, very powerful, and it's not a situation that any of us want to be in. So I appreciate you talking about that.
Yeah, and the thing about it is we all have a past, and I do my best to keep moving forward. My ideal is that if I keep running, the past will never catch up with me, and I don't have to wear it, and I don't have to think about it. But it seems like the faster I run, more opportunities come up for me to talk about it.
Mm-hmm. I know that it was a difficult story to write. I know we talked about your book that you wrote as well. So can you tell just a little snippet of the process of how you kind of go there and then kind of purge and then put the words down? Because I know it's a difficult situation.
Yeah. Thankfully for me, I live across the street from the ocean. So when it comes time for those moments that you have to rip yourself open, because in order to talk about the pain, you really need to experience it. You need to put your reader in the heart and soul of that depth of pain. So when I go to the ocean, I am looking at something beautiful while I'm opening up that box that I sealed, nailed, glued, burned, destroyed forever. I have to purge it back open again. And you have to literally relive it to describe it. Because if you're not using the proper descriptive words of the pain or being truthful about your vulnerability, then your reader will disconnect with you. So after I wrote this chapter, because I realized I didn't go there in my first book, because that pain, that realization, it was too much. So I kind of slipped that. Maybe that's why my book doesn't have that many pages in it. was because I couldn't do it. And though it was only a chapter, it was a powerful, painful one that I had to go into. And like right now, it's, oh, okay, I have to have a drink, all right.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mhm.
So, Kimber, can you talk a little bit about how you learned the tools that you needed to overcome this trauma in your life?
Yeah, well, part of the tools that happened for me, I wouldn't recommend. And that was that I self-isolated for 4 years. But I did that because I had to, when you're a child and you grow up with a raging alcoholic, drug addicted mother who verbally, sexually, physically, I mean, every kind of abuse imaginable. And then you think that you overcome that, and then you run into your love life, and you're driving down and you realize you didn't take a detour, you're on the same road. So that then you spend your childhood and your adulthood and you mix them all together. And I had to stop. I just had to stop my life, put it on hold, because it was either going to cure me or kill me. And I spent 4 years just literally working on me, visualizing a better me, a better life. And I was going to get that life come hell or high water. And that is what I did. So I know that today, and for anybody that's listening, we're not perfect people. We will go back and dip our toe, like I said in the book, into something that isn't yours anymore. But just dip your toe in there and get out and keep moving forward. Go, go, go to your goal, to your sanity, to your peace, harmony, joy, abundance, love, light. And yeah, just keep running.
I love, that's a great way to end that very difficult, the chapter and the experience that you had. So that's a great way to end that in a very positive way. So thank you for that.
Thank you. I'm
Kimber.
okay now. Just like Laurie.
Yeah.
We love you, Kimber.
Thank you.
Okay. We have 2 more. We're going to go to Jane.
Hi, I'm Jane Fendelman. Hi. I'm so amazed and honored to be here with all of you tonight. To be in your company, it's just so humbling. Okay. Not going to start crying at the beginning of my whole thing. I wrote the chapter called The Girl Who Got Raped and Became Great. I went down a dark, long, windy road, drugs, alcohol, frigidity, and then went to promiscuous sex. And then when I was about 30, I had an epiphany experience. And in the process of pulling myself out of the pit of despair, and family therapy for almost 30 years now, I developed a healing childhood process about the client. That's the one thing that wouldn't work on me. All these counselors tried all these things. Counselors, that's a good word for them, counselors. And in developing my own brief therapy for childhood trauma, physical, mental, emotional, and sexual abuse, that's what caused me to decide to become a counselor. And I was just recognized as one of the top marriage counselors in Phoenix for the 2nd time. And other great things, like I'm right now shooting a film, documentary on women, what happens when they try to report their sexual abuse. A lot of bad things happen. But in my chapter, I want to talk about a piece of my chapter. I talk about what happened, how I got into the pit of despair, how I got myself out. And then I talk about this concept. So maybe it's like this. Maybe my soul was up in heaven hanging out with all the other souls. And maybe my soul said, you know, everybody, I got this idea. I want to go down to earth. And I want to have this really horrific, traumatizing experience that's going to put a bend in my river so profound that I'm going to turn on a really dark path and I'm going to stay lost there for many, many years. And then in the climbing out of that pit of despair, I'm going to become great. And I'm going to be in service to humanity. And I'm going to help save thousands of lives. And the thing is, I'm going to need one of you other souls to volunteer to meet me down on earth and be the boy, the 16-year-old boy, to rape me. And the thing is, you're going to forget that we made this agreement, but the soul part of you is going to remember. So would anybody here please volunteer to meet me down on earth and be that 16-year-old boy who rapes that 12-year-old girl? And I looked around and no one answered. And I said, please, please, this is so important to me. It's so important for me to become who I'm meant to be down there on earth. Won't anybody please, please, please do this for me? And then finally, way in the back, one soul raises its hand and says, okay, I'll do it for you. And I said, are you sure? Because, you know, you'll be hated and you'll never be able to erase it for the rest of your life. Yes, I'll do it for you. I can see how important it is. I can see how much good it will do. I'll do it. And so we shook hands and we met down on earth, and that's what we did. So maybe it's like that. And now here's how much goodness came out of that. Now I'm this counselor helping all these people heal their traumas without causing more pain, without making them go back to the trauma as a memory. I'm shooting this film on reporting sexual assault. I'm on a team that's building a ranch that's a safe house for girls that were rescued from sex trafficking. I'm writing a book for men so that they can stop raping women accidentally. What else? Getting a grant for my healing childhood trauma technique. And that's just some of the cool stuff that's happened in the last 30 years.
It's such a powerful story. And it's very visceral, you know, the way that it's written. And, you know, I thank you for sharing that.
Thanks. And there's a piece in the story in my chapter where I talk about what happens when we're raped or sexually assaulted. We end up in of the other person's shame. So, and I noticed something, and I started a movement. It's just 99% men, but it is 1% women, sex offenders. And when we are sexually assaulted, we live inside a cage of their shame. Only we wear it, we're locked in there like it's our shame. And so I'm really big on don't protect that person's name. And then people say, well, they might sue me for slander. And I'm like, sue me, sue me. My rapist, someone randomly found him in September, a few months ago. And I confronted him. I went through Facebook and I reminded him of who I was and what he did. I'm sure he wouldn't forget. And he didn't respond. And then his son wrote me and said, don't post my father's name again or I'll sue you. And I said, please sue me, because the statute of limitations is up. By the way, I'm making this film to abolish the statute of limitations because it takes people decades to report. And I said, sue me, otherwise I won't get my day in court. And he didn't then. And then my rapist died of COVID.
Karma.
Yeah, right?
Yeah, really. Oh my goodness.
So Jane, you said that you're working on writing a book for men. And I think that's really pertinent right now, because I'm sure you've heard about the case in London where the woman was, and a lot of.
I heard about Australia. What was the London case?
There was another woman that got murdered and by a police officer. And but what was happening is a lot of advice that came out was like, women don't walk at night alone. Women always make sure you have a buddy, like all, you know, and women on Twitter spoke out and were like furious about this because it's like, how about we start speaking to the men? And so this ties into a question we got, which is, what do you tell a young man so that he is more aware? And
Yes,
what's your advice there?
That's so good. And if you look on my Facebook page right now, Jane Fendelman, you will see the background cover says, there's a line through the line that says, teach your daughters how to stay safe. That's crossed out and it says, educate your sons. So first of all, it has to start in kindergarten. First of all, it has to start at home, but let's say, for instance, it doesn't. In kindergarten, we start teaching little boys, and like I said, we're picking on boys, but most sexual perpetrators are male. Usually it's the penis being used as a weapon, and we teach little boys how to respect. And I know that feminists don't like when I say this, but we all have a masculine internal. We have men, and we also have an internal masculine, and that part is the protector. Not to say the feminine isn't fierce, mama bear, vicious ass kicker. She is. I'm talking about teaching little boys from teeny tiny and every year up in school. This is how we communicate with women. Not only that, not just communicate and respect, but when we're teaching sexuality, when we teach sex ed, we basically teach tab A fits into slot B, and 9 months later, a baby comes out. That's not enough. What we have to teach is, like in the Tantra, the Sanskrit word for penis is lingam, and it means sword or wand of light. And the Sanskrit for vagina is sacred space. And the entire point of lingam is to bring light into the sacred space. So we have to teach young men and people across the board, your sexuality is designed to bring light. It's not just for you to take something from someone else, to get something, to get a nut, to get an orgasm. That's not what it's for. It's meant for you to give something beautiful to another person. So it has to be, that's such a great question. It has to be taught across the board from very little, physically, mentally, emotionally, how we respect and care for each other. Because right now we've got toxic masculinity run rampant. Like you can see it right now, because our last, not to get political, our last administration brought out a lot of toxic masculinity where people are bulldozing over other people and there's no respectful dialogue and kindness and caring, and little boys being raised to think that being soft is weak. So a lot of what I do in couples counseling is teaching the men how to be strong without becoming a bully, and how to be soft without becoming weak. But in a toxic masculine culture, which is most of the world, that's why there's so much rape. There's so much rape that 68% women will be sexually assaulted. That we have to teach them that your conscious presence, kindness, and caring isn't a weakness, and that toxic masculinity is not cool.
Thank you.
They think it's cool.
I got to stop you there because we're over time, but wow, powerful, man. And I raised 2 boys, and I think, you know, that it goes beyond just, you know, being respectful, and I agree with what you're saying. So thank you for that, Jane. Thank you very much. Yeah, I got your web. What's your website? Jane,
JaneFendelman.com.
JaneFendelman.com. Okay. Yep. Thank you. Okay. And we have one more amazing author, and that would be Angela. Yes.
Oh, what an awesome background.
I know.
Thank you. Okay. Hi, you guys. I'm so honored to be here with all of you. These are such amazing and I mean, moving stories. So thank you for including me. My chapter was on my journey from kind of having a little bit of a struggle moving from a successful career in Los Angeles in the fashion industry and coming to Arizona and trying to continue that career in a place where there are no resources. And just like you guys, a lot of you are in the movie industry, and you kind of have to be located in the right city for, you know, the job opportunities and career opportunities. And so when I moved to Arizona and really had a hard time trying to figure out how to continue my career here, I kind of got down in the dumps about it a bit. And I went for many years struggling and just trying to figure out how to solve that, and how to still have my dream career and pursue, you know, what I was meant and put on this earth for, and do it outside. And it was, you know, it was hard to figure it out for a while. So I ended up teaching, consulting, having my own like hobby business, you know, making clothes out of my house, and doing odd things here and there to make ends meet. But it was challenging for a lot of years. And I always felt like I really wasn't doing what I was, you know, wanting to do and put on earth to do. And my chapter is about how I learned the skills to turn that around. And I kind of say now that I have a superhero, I have like a superhero skill that I learned. And it was from a woman named Tiffany, who taught me the power of manifesting and thinking positive. And when I learned this skill, it completely changed my life. And it was something that I just really didn't think about for, you know, my whole life. I never really realized that this was a real thing. And you read the Secret, or you hear about people talking about thinking positive and how it can change you. And I really thought, that's kind of fluffy, and, you know, it's mushy, it's not real, it's, you know, it's not science, and how can that be real? And when this woman taught me this skill, I finally was at my breaking point where I had nothing to lose. And I thought, okay, I'm going to take the skill and I'm going to just use it and see what happens. And I'm just going to have to go 100% in and, you know, just do it. And so my story is about that. But what I realized when Diane was saying, we're going to tell another story today, was that when my world changed and I took that skill, and now what I do today is living my dream job. And I run a fashion incubator here in Arizona, and I'm helping hundreds of other fashion brands and doing what I love, and I'm in my industry. What I realized was all the things that changed had something to do with a woman in my life. And every person that ended up being a pivotal moment in my life, or a person that changed something for me, was a woman. And so it was really appropriate that this book is really about women. And just some quick little micro stories in my story involve that. After I learned that skill from this woman named Tiffany, suddenly there was this other woman who came along, and her name is Monica. And Monica saw a Facebook post that I made where I was putting together a GoFundMe campaign to raise money to pay for a procedure that my husband had to have. And Monica said, you know, I watch you on Facebook and I see all of your skills and the things that you can do. And the fact that you had to put together a GoFundMe to pay a medical bill just like moved me. And she's like, I want to help you. And she said, what I want to do is loan you some money right now, because I feel like if you just had a little break, you could do some amazing things. And I was like, who does that? So yeah, okay, that's really thoughtful and generous. And I took her up on it. And the amount of money that she gave me was just enough to kind of get me over this hump, to be able to then suddenly start to pursue the thing that is what I'm doing today. And at the same time, there were two other women in my life that just said, you know, I realize that, you know, you're struggling to pay the bills, and here's $100, and, you know, here's a couple $100. And friends just came out of the woodwork, but they were all women that just offered to help. And on that GoFundMe campaign, so many of them were women. And then my current business partner today, who's also a woman, she was the most generous of everybody I've ever met. And she like put in her entire 401k into this incubator, this nonprofit that we've created that has helped 600 other fashion brands be able to live their dreams. And I wouldn't be able to do what I do today without this woman. And throughout the 4 years that we've created this incubator, I can't even tell you how many micro stories are in there of her giving and changing other people's lives, including the fact that because of the decisions that she made, the pivot that we took during the pandemic to actually manufacture medical gowns, we ended up taking all of our skills and our resources and make medical isolation gowns for the healthcare facilities. And we manufactured almost 600,000 of them during the pandemic to help fill, the void that was out there in protective gear. And it was her idea and her gumption and her hard work that really made the rest of our team feel like they could do that. And our team was a team of 5 women. And all those women, we all showed up every day, 16 hours a day inside this incubator. And we all, put in all of our time to be able to figure this out. And we barely made any money doing it. In fact, we lost money doing it, but it was the thing that, kept our incubator open. And it took women to do that. And the 2 women that let us use the building that we use are the 2 economic development directors for the city of Tempe, Donna and Jill, and they're women. And it's just, the list goes on. So what I thought was cool, yes, it was
Go women.
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome.
This book is all about that. And that's what I appreciate so much. And the last thing I just wanted to say was that the final culmination was when Vice President Kamala Harris came to our building while we were making PPE and brought her buddy Biden. And that was the icing on the cake for a woman to come and kind of, make the whole thing come full circle.
Wow.
So for this book with all these women and
that I did not know the story about the making the gowns for all of that. That's pretty amazing. That's pretty amazing. Thank you for doing that. Okay.
Can I ask a question? I can't type my question because I'm on my phone and it won't let me type a question.
Okay. Yeah, we probably have about time for one question. So go ahead, Jane.
Is this at Fabric in Tempe, Angela?
Yes.
Oh my God, I love that place. You guys are amazing.
Thank you so much.
Oh, that's awesome. Whoop, can't hear you, Kimber.
Okay, I just have one more thing to say to everybody. Thank you for being here. There's so many hours and moments and brainstorming between Diane, Melissa, and I, and our goal that we had first and foremost was to help women. And we know that that's going to happen. That was the main goal. I'm getting goosebumps right now, but also what we were wanting to do is to have this book be recognized as a bestseller, because it will really help with promoting and marketing this book. And that happened for us on the first day of its release. So congratulations to everybody. But more importantly, as you're promoting the book, could you please add that on there, that from us, the best-selling book from us for you, because this is this was just an amazing journey to get to this point. So
create a graphic of that so that we can all have it. Like what you do with the title of the book, create a graphic that has the bestseller on it so we can splash and dash it.
Okay, I can do that. Or Molly's really good. Molly's really good at doing that.
I was gonna say, we'll have Molly create it. We want to be #1. We're speaking it out to the universe that we want to be #1 bestseller. So with that said, we're not done yet. So tell your friends, tell your family, tell your coworkers, tell your, I don't care.
Tell your dog.
Yeah. We just actually need a little bit more to get there. So if you could help do kind of a push for some additional sales, we would really, really appreciate it. And with that said, along with promotions, we have 2 more of these events coming up, the wine and reads with the authors. And we would love to have more people join, because like we shared today, this was such an amazing educational, uplifting, empowering experience, and to get more women, to get more people to be able to learn from you is really what we want to make this experience about. And so the next one is, they're all at 7 p.m. There's going to be one on March 24th and April 7th. So March 24th, April 7th, we'll have other authors sharing their stories or bits of their chapters, and we'll do the Q&As like this. Please join in if you can. We would love to still have all of you there, even if you're not a presenting author, and support the other authors, but please share those events as well. And then make sure you keep, we absolutely want everyone there on the 14th, the day of the actual book launch. We're doing a virtual launch party since it is the time of the pandemic. So we're gonna plan a really, really fun virtual event. So again, you know, invite all your friends and family, invite anybody you know that's buying the book. We're going to have all the authors there, and it's going to be a really, really fun event. And I want to mirror Kimber and say thank you so much, every single one of you. This was a very impactful event. I think it went better probably than Diane could even dream, because I think when I told her about this, she was like, I don't really get what we're doing. But I was like, it's gonna be good, I swear. And it was because of you, because you were vulnerable, because you shared your truth, because you had your voices, and it was just a really remarkable thing. So thank you so much to each and every
And
one.
let's toast to that.
Thank you.
I'm out. I'll toast my water.
Oh, that's
The water. Yes. Thank you so much. Thank you. Oh, and before you leave, we have one more door prize. Yay. Thank you for staying. Ready. Yay. All right. And it is Jane.
And my fingers crossed.
And you get one of the wine cups.
Oh my God, I love that.
Yes.
Oh my God, thank you.
I'll be in touch with y'all on how to get that stuff. But anyway, thank you.
Diane,
We're gonna have to meet for a drink in person, Diane.
Yeah.
Shipping costs to Hawaii are very high, so I might have to fly to Arizona to get one.
Yeah, definitely.
When it gets my turn.
Are you coming, Kimber?
Yeah.
Pardon me?
Aren't you still coming to Arizona? Or
Yes.
no?
We're planning on April. Yes.
Good.
Okay.
Good.
Good.
All right, you guys all have a great night. Thank you again very much, and hope to see you.
Thank you, Diane and Kimber. It's so good to see everybody. I miss you guys. Miss you.
Bye.